Welcome everyone. Welcome to our channel, Duha Academy. So this is a brief review questions from factorizing. So here are the questions that we will review on. So this is the first problem. The expression here is y square plus 5y. Here y is common between these two terms. So if you factor out y, here from y square, y is factor out. So y is the remainder. And from 5y, the y is factor out. And then 5 is the remainder. So these are two factors of this expression. Same here, we have numbers 8 and 20. So we look for the common factor between 8 and 20. So here 4 divides both of them. So 4 is the common factor between 8 and 20. Now here is a b and here is b square. So b also factor out. Now here if you divide 8 by 4, 2 is the remainder. Here a and the b is factor out. So the next is this 20 is divided by 4. Then 5 from b square, b is factor out. That's why b is the remainder. So these are two factors of this expression. Now if you look at this expression, which is a square minus 4, there are no any common factors between these two. But there is a relation. So the relation is we have a square minus b square, and that is equals to a plus b and a minus b. So we can change this in the form of a square minus b square. So simply you can change a square as it is, and this 4 is square of 2. So now this is a square minus b square, which is now a plus b. b here is 2. And then a minus b. So simply we change this in the form of a square minus b square, a plus b, a minus b. Same is here. So we can change this in the form of a square, which would be 4x whole square. So 4 square is 16 and x square, and this 91 is a square of 9, 9x whole square. Same, if you compare, this is a square, and this whole is b square. So this is now 4x plus 9x, and then next is 4x minus 9x. So this is a plus b, a minus b. So the next expression is 12x square minus 48. Now here 12 is common factor because 12 and 48, they have common factor 12. 48 is divided by 12. So the remainder here is x square, 48 divided by 12, which is now 4. Now we can change this in the form of a square minus b square. Again, x square minus 2 square, which is 4. Now again, same, 12. Now a plus b, and then a minus b. Now this expression is little bit different. There is no common factors among these three terms. So what we do is we get two numbers from 20, and then we get the sum of 9. So the two numbers should be the factors of 20. The factors of 20, like 1 times 20 is 20. But here, if you add 1 and 20, that would be 21. So this is not the solution. Second factor is like 2 times 10. This is also 20. But again, 2 plus 10 is 12. We are looking for 9. And next could be 4 times 5, which is 20. And 4 plus 5 is 9. So 4 plus 5 is 9, and this is what we are looking for, at 9. So what we can do is to solve this, the first term as it is, x square, and the last term, which is 20, as it is. Now we change this 9x, or simply we split this 9x. How? So one is 4x and one is 5x. So you can say 4x plus 5x. Now this is 9x, right? Now we are looking at these two terms and these two terms. So here x is factor out. Now here remains x from x square plus 4. And then plus, then 5 is common here. So 5 is factor out. Now here remains x plus, if you divide this 20 by 5, so that is only 4. Simply x plus 4 is factor out again. Now from here x, and from here it's a 5. So this is how we factorize these kinds of expression. Now this is the similar expression. The difference is here is a positive number, but here is minus 13 negative number. So in this case, when it is positive and this is negative, we need two numbers, but the sum of two negatives should be 13. So simply, let's get the factors of 40 first. So it could be 1 times 40, which is 40, but we cannot get 13 from these two factors. Second could be 2 times 20. Again, we are not getting this minus 13. So the next is 4 times 10. Right? Again, we cannot get minus 13. And next is 5 times 8, which is 40. Now in this case, if we add minus 5 and minus 8, so this is minus 13. And this is what we are looking for. So when this number is positive and this number is negative, we need two factors where the sum of those two negatives should be this number, which is 13 in this case. So same, the first thing is the first number as it is, the last number, which is 40, as it is. Now here we split this minus 13 into two numbers or two terms, where one is minus 5x and the next is minus 8x. Right? Now simply you get common between these two terms. So here x is factor out. Now here x is remainder, and from 5x, 5 is the remainder. Same here, minus 8 is factor out. Now x is remainder. Now be careful when there is minus 8 is factor out. So when there is minus, you have changed the sign. So this plus will be minus. And this 40 is divided by 8. So now 5 is the remainder. Now from these two, we can factor out x minus 5. So x remains here. Minus 8 is the remainder. So these are the two factors of this one. So this expression is similar, but the difference is here 6 is common from all three terms. So the first thing is 6. We factor out. Now the remainders are x square minus, so divide this 30 by 6, which is now 5x. Now plus, divide this 36 by 6, which is 6. Now we do same process here. Again, here is positive 6 and this is negative 5. We need factors of 6 and the sum of those should be minus. Meaning, so if the 6 has two factors, which is 2 and 3, now the sum means the negatives 2 plus negative 3. It should be negative 5. So what we do here is minus 6 as it is, that first term as it is, and the last term also as it is. Now this minus 5x we split into minus 2x and minus 3x. So now this is minus 2x minus 3x. We look at these two and we look at these two terms. 6 as is. Now the first thing is 6 as it is. So we have to use one more bracket. Now x is common here between these two. Then x is the remainder. 2 is the remainder here. Now 3 is common factor. So 3. X, again, when there is a minus. So minus 3 is common. That's why this plus will be minus. Divide 6 by 3, which is 2. Simply 6. Again, x minus 2 is factor out. Now x minus 3. So this is how we do. Now here is another expression. Simply, there are no common factors between these three terms. Of course, there is x common and between these y. But if you look at all these three terms, there is no common factors. So simply what we do is we get the factors of 24. So again, 2 times 12, 24. We are looking for minus 11. Again, since this is positive and this is negative, we are looking for two negative numbers whose sum is minus 11. So again, this 24 could be like 2 times 8. Now here, if you get sum of minus 3 and minus 8, which is equals to minus 11. So this is what we are looking for. Same process. The first term is same. The last term, 24y square, same. Now this minus 11xy split into minus 3xy minus 8xy. So if this is minus 3xy minus 8xy. Now look for common factors between these two terms. So here x is common. So x factor out, x minus 3y. Again, here is minus 8 and y. So minus 8y factor out. So x, now here you have to change the sign because of this minus. So divide 24 by 8, which is 3 from y square. The y is already factor out, y is remainder. Now here again, x minus y is factor out and simply x minus 8y. So this is how we factor out. So this much for today. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe and share. I'll see you in next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care.